Hey Wade, look at this. Do you notice something different with my camera and the fact that we are recording in SquadCast? Look around me.
Yes, your background. Exactly.
Yeah, my background is blurred. So, for our watchers who don't know this, we spent several months testing software, testing equipment, figuring out the best way to have a conversation and to build a workflow that's consistent, especially with a small team, because um, it's really down to the minimal. And so we're figuring out how to do much with a little. And we've worked that. But one of the things that we were doing before was trying to figure out um, when SquadCast, which is the program that we record on, would have the blurring feature for the background. Like when you do Zoom calls or Teams or whatnot, you have the option. So that makes it easier for our guests. So they don't have to think about so much they're presenting, and they can focus more on just sharing their expertise. Or in a show like LYNC Talk here, where it's casual, it's behind the scenes, we can just concentrate on the conversation. So I came into SquadCast just a couple of days ago and saw that they have finally enacted this blurring feature. So I'm super excited because Wade knows this, and I'll share it just for everyone's sake. We spent quite a bit of time trying to figure out how to manually do this in other programs to blur it out. And we hadn't been very successful. And we had to do some reshooting and such to figure it out. So this is going to save a lot of time. What do you think, Wade?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I would be happy if I would know how it works on my end.
Yeah. Well, I'll be sure to, you know what? I'll just make this a note now. I'm going to add that to our guidelines that we can share with our guests. So, interestingly enough, today's show, we are talking about Wade's time in Nantucket with the Nantucket Project of 2024. And we had some interesting things happen on the back end. And yeah, ironically, we recorded a few days ago, didn't we, Wade? And you were live from Nantucket, gorgeous scenery, the water behind you. Sometimes we could pick up the waves lapping in the boats out, the sun shining, and it seemed like the weather was just perfect because you had a light windbreaker on and you're talking to me, but we had some issues with your earphones connecting. And we tried several platforms to record on. I think we went SquadCast, we did Zoom, we did Teams, and then finally I used another program that I was able to pull in that records my screen, it records my computer sound, and it records me speaking. We shot the thing, and then I went to edit, and we still had no sound for Wade. So some lessons learned in that, but we decided to talk about it in this episode a little bit when we talk about Nantucket, because the whole point of this program is to allow you behind the scenes to see what it's like, what goes on behind the scenes with trying to continue and expand the conversation on religious freedom building, on social cohesion, and all these other things that we're attempting to do. It's hard, but it's also rewarding. And I think it's fair to say that everyone involved with LYNC is passionate about this work. So we'll be talking a little bit about that today, as well as this Nantucket Project.
Sure. Yeah, I'll be happy to repeat that.
Well, great. So, Wade, I have some footage that I'm sharing with our viewers of the water, the scenes, you talking. You walked us down the boardwalk. That's what it looked like. And spoke about the project. And I know that the Nantucket Project has been around for quite some time. And this is not at all the first one, but I also know that it touts that it is an intimate gathering of around 600 attendees or so. And they focus on conversation, on passion, curiosity, having honest conversations. So let's just start out the gate with asking about the most profound conversation that you recall now having at the Nantucket Project of 2024.
Yeah. So this year, Nantucket Project was concentrated on trauma healing and reconciliation, in many cases in connection with Israeli-Palestinian war. And the organizers invited many people from both sides and also experts, as well as other people who provided their ideas and experience in conflict resolutions and trauma, post conflict trauma healing from very, very different angles. And it was the whole spectrum of, from their point of view, of the examples of how it looked like. And they were trying to even model something like that. For example, they would invite on the stage two people who had a lawsuit and like very pretty large lawsuit about the pretty significant amount of money they disputed, and they were in odds with each other for many years, and how they reconciled and how they became friends again. And they also had a lot of people who were spoke about the Israeli and Palestine conflict from both sides. For example, former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, was there, who provided his perspective on what is going on right now and what is, from my point of view, most important, how it can be ended and what's going to happen after, what's supposed to happen after. But the most profound discussion I witnessed, and answering your question, was between an Israeli and Palestinian journalist. So they were discussing the current situation, the way out, the end state, and what's supposed to happen between two nations in that territory. And the question was, the discussion was deep and profound. First of all, because both of them involved in this conflict from both sides for many years. They were these conflicts from many angles, and they discussed that. Interesting was that the fact that they were not agree with each other on many things. In many cases, the difference in their viewpoints complemented each other for to broaden picture and to provide better understanding of the how end state could look like. And they were talking about an hour, and was well moderated by one of the Nantucket Project organizers. And for me, it was probably first time I've heard something like that in connection with Palestinian-Israeli conflict. They did not provide any solutions. They did not provide any strategies that can work right now from and drive the sides from point A to point B. But the analysis of what's happening and why, and proposals what it's supposed to look like, was pretty good. And I think it's could be considered as, at least for me, as a first great step in this conflict resolution. They also shared their ideas how they overcome their trauma and hatred toward each other. It was a lot of conversation around that. And I remember one of another Palestinian person. He just explained, and I remember he said, to hate each other, you're supposed to know the person. If you hate just in general someone, not knowing whom you hate personally, it's you live in a lie. You even if you hate someone, you need to know like exactly whom you hate. And I thought this is very interesting thought.
Wow. I'd be curious to see how the conversation continues in that very complex dialogue as we move forward. And I'd love to delve into that right now. I know I have follow-up questions in my head, but I know we're trying to keep it light. We're talking behind the scenes here. Thank you for sharing those insights, because even that gives us something to chew on, to think about. So thank you for coming and recording again. And I'm going to close out for now. I'm excited that our next Link Talk episode will be in Berlin, and there'll be much to share there, going on behind the scenes for our event with the IRF Secretariat and Templeton Religion Trust on October 8th through 10th. So we'll see you guys then.
Yeah.
And I'm going to close out actually with my original closeout because honestly, I'm kind of attached to it. I said something about like while you dash off to the airport or run to the airport because that's literally, I think, at least I pictured you running. You recorded this and you went straight to the airport. So we're going to close out with that, and we'll see you next time for LYNC Talk.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Jessica.
And with that, we are going to let Wade dash off to the airport. You've been watching LYNC Talk, and I'm Jessica Eturralde. For more information on religious freedom building, including reports, stories, and case studies, as well as programs like these, visit lyncommunity.org. That's lyncommunity.org.